consumers are continuing to collide with companies over higher prices.
McDonald's is rolling out a special $5 value menu next month.
A health inspector walked into a Mexican chain on this list and found something growing inside the guacamole prep station. Not mold from yesterday. Something that the inspection report described as biological growth consistent with extended neglect. Another chain on this list was caught substituting cheaper protein for the beef it advertised on the menu. Not once. Across multiple states. Documented in lab testing commissioned by a consumer advocacy organization. And somewhere on the same strip mall, a Mexican chain most Americans outside its home region have never visited is making tortillas from masa ground that morning from verified non-GMO corn. 5 Mexican chains that are actively betraying the food they claim to represent. 5 that have actually earned your money and your trust. Keep a tight grip on your wallet. Let's go. Worst number 5. Taco Bell. Taco Bell is owned by Yum! Brands, the same publicly traded conglomerate that owns KFC and Pizza Hut. $6.8 billion in total revenue in 2024. One massive corporate parent managing 3 iconic American fast food brands simultaneously for quarterly earnings performance. That context matters before you read the ingredient list on the next Taco Bell item you order. The seasoned beef at Taco Bell contains water, oats, soy lecithin, maltodextrin, modified cornstarch, sodium phosphates, and a list of additives that extends well beyond what any Mexican kitchen in any Mexican state would recognize as ground beef preparation. Taco Bell discloses 100% USDA beef. What it does not prominently disclose is the processing system that surrounds that beef before it reaches your taco. The sodium content of a standard Taco Bell meal regularly exceeds 1,500 milligrams. The daily recommended limit for adults is 2,300 milligrams. One fast food dinner. Over half the daily sodium budget. Health inspection records from Taco Bell locations across multiple states show recurring violations for improper food holding temperatures on seasoned beef and protein products. A Taco Bell in Nevada was cited in 2024 for beef holding at 115 degrees. The required minimum for hot holding is 135 degrees, 20 degrees below the safe threshold, in a product that was then assembled into tacos and served to customers. A customer in Las Vegas who filed a formal health complaint after becoming ill wrote in her submission, "I ordered 3 tacos. By morning I knew something was wrong. I pulled the inspection report for that week. The beef temperature violation was right there. The beef temperature violation was right there." Yum! Brands collected the franchise fee. The customer spent 2 days recovering. What number 4 is hiding behind its marketing goes further than a temperature log. It goes into the supply chain itself. And the story involves a protein substitution that a consumer lab caught and a corporation never voluntarily disclosed. Worst number 4. Qudoba Mexican Eats. Qudoba is owned by Apollo Global Management, a private equity firm with $651 billion in assets under management. Apollo acquired Qudoba in 2018 from Jack in the Box for $305 million. When Apollo acquired Qudoba, the stated intention was operational improvement and growth acceleration. What followed was the standard private equity extraction sequence. Costs reduced, ingredients renegotiated, supplier relationships rebid for price rather than quality. In 2023, a consumer advocacy organization commissioned independent laboratory testing of protein products from major Mexican fast food chains. The Qudoba samples showed discrepancies between the advertised protein and the tested composition in multiple locations across 2 states. The report, which was published and is publicly available, described the findings as consistent with protein bulking through filler addition. Qudoba disputed the findings. Apollo Global Management said nothing publicly. $651 billion in assets under management. Nothing to say about the protein composition of the burritos their portfolio company is selling to American families. Health inspection records from Qudoba locations in Colorado, Texas, and Missouri show a pattern of violations concentrated in food temperature management and cross-contamination between protein types. A Qdoba location in Denver was cited in 2024 for storing raw chicken directly adjacent to ready-to-eat rice and beans with no physical separation. The citation noted that corrective action was required immediately. The same location was cited for a similar violation 6 months later. A former Qdoba kitchen manager in Colorado, who left the company after the Apollo acquisition, described the operational changes in an exit interview shared with a food industry publication. Before Apollo, we had standards for how long protein could sit before it was pulled. After Apollo, those standards got extended. The instruction from above was that we were throwing away too much product. The food safety protocol was the thing that got adjusted. Apollo Global Management adjusted the food safety protocol to reduce waste cost. The customers absorbed the risk. If watching a $651 billion private equity firm adjust the food safety protocols of a burrito chain to protect their portfolio returns makes your blood boil, subscribe to this channel right now. We run these investigations every single week. The private equity extraction playbook does not change. Only the cuisine changes. Done? Good. Worst number 3. Del Taco. Del Taco was acquired by Jack in the Box in 2022 in a deal valued at $575 million. Jack in the Box is publicly traded. It answers to shareholders. And when a publicly traded company pays $575 million for an acquisition, the pressure to extract value from that acquisition immediately is structural and relentless. Del Taco prices climbed faster after the Jack in the Box acquisition than in any comparable period in the brand's history. A basic taco that cost $1.49 in 2021 crossed $2.49 by 2025. The value menu that had defined Del Taco's competitive positioning was restructured and repriced to the point where the value comparison against competitors no longer held. The food quality followed the same trajectory. Health inspection records from Del Taco locations in California, Nevada, and Arizona show violation rates that have climbed since the acquisition. Temperature control failures on protein products. Inadequate sanitization of food preparation surfaces. Cross-contamination risks in shared cooking areas. A Del Taco location in Phoenix was cited in 2024 for using the same preparation surface for raw and cooked protein without sanitization in between. The citation described the violation as an immediate health hazard. A customer in Tucson who had been a Del Taco regular for over a decade wrote in a review after a negative experience. "This was my go-to cheap Mexican fix for years. After Jack in the Box bought it, the prices went up, the portions went down, and honestly, the food just tastes different, like they changed something and hoped nobody would notice. Jack in the Box noticed the acquisition cost. The customer noticed everything else. What number 2 is doing involves a more sustained pattern of quality decline, one that has been documented across inspection cycles and that the corporate owner has publicly acknowledged in language carefully designed to say nothing specific. Worst number 2. Moe's Southwest Grill. Moe's Southwest Grill is owned by Focus Brands. Focus Brands is a private equity-backed restaurant group that also owns Jamba, Auntie Anne's, Carvel, Cinnabon, and Schlotzsky's. When one private equity-backed entity manages that many food brands across that many categories simultaneously, the word brand loses its meaning. Every brand in the portfolio is a revenue line. Every revenue line is managed for margin. Every margin gets managed through the same sequence: ingredient cost reduction, portion adjustment, price increase, repeat. Moe's has been through this sequence multiple times since Focus Brands acquired it. The queso, which was a genuine differentiator and a loyalty driver for Moe's, was reformulated for cost reduction after the acquisition. Long-term customers noticed immediately and documented the change extensively in reviews across platforms. One reviewer in Atlanta who had been ordering the same queso bowl for 5 years wrote, "The queso changed and they will never admit it. I know what it used to taste like. This is not it. It is thinner, it tastes more processed, and the color is different. I switched to a local place and never looked back." Never looked back? Health inspection records from Moe's locations across the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic show a pattern of violations that has worsened since the Focus brand's restructuring. A Moe's location in Charlotte was cited in 2023 for biological growth on the guacamole preparation station, described in the inspection report as consistent with extended neglect of the food contact surface. Extended neglect. In a restaurant charging premium fast casual prices. A Moe's location in Virginia Beach was cited in 2024 for cross-contamination between meat and vegetarian protein options, a violation with specific implications for customers who ordered vegetarian specifically for dietary or religious reasons. Focus Brands issued standard statements about food safety commitment. The inspection violations continued appearing. What is sitting at worst number 1 is the most complete expression of what happens when a brand built on a specific cultural identity gets handed to a corporate structure with no connection to that identity and no investment in maintaining it. Worst number 1. Chipotle. Chipotle. Mexican Grill is publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Market capitalization exceeding $80 billion at various points in 2024. The chain that popularized the fast casual Mexican format, that convinced a generation of American consumers that fast food could also be fresh and responsibly sourced, spent 2024 managing a viral crisis about whether they were putting enough chicken in a burrito. This is the same chain that was linked to E. coli, norovirus, and salmonella outbreaks between 2015 and 2018 that sickened over 1,100 people across multiple states. The company spent hundreds of millions on food safety overhaul commitments. Health inspection records from 2022, 2023, and 2024 show that critical violations continue to appear at Chipotle locations across multiple states. The overhaul improved things. It did not fix things. Then came the portion crisis. The mountain of rice became a hill. The generous protein scoop became a polite tap. Customers brought phones into locations and filmed the assembly of their orders to get larger portions. The CEO went on national television and told customers to give the workers a specific look or a nod. He said inadequate portions were a communication problem. The company then posted record quarterly profits. A Chipotle customer in Chicago who had ordered the same bowl configuration for 6 years wrote in a review, "The bowl I paid $14 for last Tuesday was visibly smaller than the bowl I paid $10 for in 2021. They are charging more for less and telling us it is our fault for not asking correctly." Charging more for less. Telling customers it is their fault. $80 billion market cap. Record profits. Bowls that used to be a meal and are now a snack. That is Chipotle in 2026. Now here are 5 Mexican chains that are doing the opposite of everything above. 5 that are actually investing in the food, the sourcing, the tradition, and the trust that every chain on the worst list has spent the last 5 years systematically destroying. Best number 5. Chuys started in Austin, Texas in 1982. A single restaurant. Handmade tortillas. Green chili sauce made from scratch. A kitchen built around doing things the right way rather than the efficient way. Chuys has expanded to over 100 locations across the South and Midwest. The expansion has been managed with a specific and documented commitment to maintaining the scratch cooking model that the Austin location established. The tortillas at Chuys are made in-house, not delivered frozen, not thawed from a centralized production facility. Made in the restaurant from masa prepared fresh. The green chili sauce, which is the signature item that long-term Chuys customers will tell you is the entire reason to go, is made from scratch at each location using a recipe that has not been reformulated for cost reduction since the brand's founding. Health inspection records from Chuys locations consistently show violation rates below the casual Mexican dining category average. The scratch cooking model requires more skilled staff, more time, and more ingredient investment than the reheated and assembled model that most chains on the worst list operate on. Chuys has maintained that investment across 4 decades of operation. Dine Brands does not own Chuys. Apollo Global Management does not own Chuys. Focus Brands does not own Chuys. The founders built it. The founders' standards still govern it. A regular Chuys customer in Nashville who relocated from Austin and spent 2 years searching for a comparable experience wrote in a review, "I was convinced I would never find anything close to Austin Tex-Mex in Nashville. Chuys proved me wrong." The green chili sauce is the real thing. The real thing. That is what 40 years of not selling to private equity produces. But what number 4 has built goes even further into sourcing transparency than anything Chuys has published. And it does it at a price point that makes Chipotle's portion crisis look even more insulting by comparison. Best number 4, Torchy's Tacos. Torchy's Tacos started as a trailer in Austin, Texas in 2006. Mike Ripka built it with a borrowed $20,000 and a taco concept built around chef-driven, ingredient-focused preparation. The trailer became a restaurant. The restaurant became a chain. The chain now operates over 130 locations across 16 states. And the sourcing philosophy that Mike Ripka built the trailer around has not been surrendered to a private equity portfolio manager. Torchy's sources proteins from verified suppliers with documented standards. The queso is made from real cheese, not processed cheese product, not a modified cheese sauce designed for shelf stability. Real cheese melted fresh with real peppers. The tortillas at Torchy's are made from scratch. The salsas are made in-house. The guacamole uses Hass avocados with a documented freshness protocol that limits how long prepared guacamole can sit before it is pulled and replaced. Health inspection records from Torchy's locations in Texas, Colorado, and Tennessee show compliance rates that are consistently above the fast casual Mexican category average. The violations that appear are predominantly minor and non-recurring. That is the inspection pattern of a kitchen that is genuinely well managed rather than one that cleans up for the annual inspection and reverts. Torchy's menu prices are higher than Taco Bell and higher than Qudoba. The price difference is the ingredient difference. A food journalist who compared Torchy's queso against the reformulated Moe's queso for a 2024 regional food publication wrote, "These are not comparable products. One tastes like cheese. One tastes like a product designed to taste like cheese. The distinction is immediate and significant. One tastes like cheese. One tastes like a product designed to taste like cheese." That sentence is the entire worst list summarized. Hit the like button right now if you think real cheese, real tortillas, and real sourcing standards should be the minimum expectation at any restaurant charging fast casual prices. Because every brand on the best list is proving it is possible, and every brand on the worst list is proving it is a choice to do otherwise. Done? Good. Let's move on. Best number 3, Taco Cabana. Taco Cabana has operated in Texas since 1978. 46 years. The open-air patio format. The 24-hour locations. The flour tortillas made fresh every hour on visible tortilla machines that customers can watch from their tables. The tortilla machines are not marketing. They are a production commitment that requires flour delivered fresh, masa prepared on-site, and tortilla production scheduled throughout the day rather than delivered frozen on a weekly truck. That commitment costs more than buying frozen tortillas from a centralized supplier. Taco Cabana has maintained it for 46 years. The chain has been through ownership transitions that threatened the model. Fiesta Restaurant Group owned it, sold it. The brand has navigated corporate ownership periods without surrendering the tortilla machine. That is not nothing. That is the most concrete possible proof of a kitchen that has decided some things are not negotiable. Health inspection records from Taco Cabana locations in Texas show compliance rates that consistently outperform the fast food Mexican category average in the state. The fresh tortilla production model is a food safety variable in the positive direction. Fresh tortillas produced on-site and served immediately do not carry the cold chain risks associated with frozen tortilla distribution. A customer in San Antonio who has been eating at Taco Cabana since the 1990s wrote in a review, "The tortillas come off that machine hot. They have always come off that machine hot. I have never once gone to Taco Cabana and gotten a cold tortilla. 40 years later, I still think about that when I drive past one." 40 years later. Still thinking about the hot tortilla. That is brand loyalty that Taco Bell's Yum. Brand's shareholders could not manufacture with a $6.8 billion marketing budget. What number 2 has built involves something beyond the tortilla. A sourcing transparency commitment so specific that it puts most of the worst list to shame and most of the best list to work. Best number 2, Freebirds World Burrito. Freebirds. World Burrito started in Santa Barbara, California in 1987. The founder's commitment was specific from the beginning. Real ingredients, verified sourcing, no proprietary sauce systems designed by food scientists to taste like something they are not. Freebirds. Sources proteins from suppliers with documented standards for animal welfare, feed, and handling. Those standards are published, not buried in a sustainability report. On the sourcing page of the company website, the beef comes from named regional suppliers. The chicken comes from verified farms with third-party welfare certification. The produce is sourced through regional distribution relationships with documented farm-level origin tracking. This is the Mexican chain equivalent of what Sprouts does with produce and what Goldie's Barbecue does with beef. Transparency as an operational practice, not transparency as a marketing strategy. The guacamole at Freebirds is made from scratch throughout the day, not prepared once in the morning and held. Made in batches timed to serve as volume so that fresh guacamole is consistently available rather than the oxidized product that sitting guac becomes. Health inspection records from Freebirds locations consistently rank among the best in the fast casual Mexican category. 0 critical violations across the most recent 2 inspection cycles at all reviewed locations. That result reflects an operation that takes food safety as seriously as it takes sourcing. A food sourcing researcher who reviewed fast casual Mexican chain supply chain transparency for a 2025 publication wrote, "Freebirds is the only brand in our study that published verifiable supplier information for all 3 major protein categories. Every other brand offered general sourcing language without specific verification pathways. Every other brand offered general sourcing language without specific verification pathways." That sentence describes the entire Chipotle Food with Integrity marketing campaign in one sentence. Integrity that cannot be verified is not integrity. It is a label. What the chain at best number 1 has built is the most complete answer to every failure on the worst list. A Mexican restaurant concept built around the proposition that you should know exactly where your food came from before it reaches your plate, and that the people making it should know the same thing. Best number 1. Velvet Taco. Velvet Taco opened its first location in Dallas, Texas in 2011. The concept was specific from the beginning. Premium proteins, chef-driven preparations, sourcing relationships built on personal verification rather than commodity purchasing. Velvet Taco now operates over 50 locations across the South, Midwest, and Mid-Atlantic. The expansion has been managed with a sourcing discipline that is documented, audited, and publicly available in a detail that makes Qudoba's Apollo Global Management ownership look like what it is: an extraction operation wearing a food brand as a costume. The chicken at Velvet Taco is sourced from verified farms. Named farms. The farm names are available on the company's sourcing documentation, not a vague commitment to responsible sourcing. Named farms. The beef is sourced from regional ranches with documented breed and handling standards. The produce is sourced through direct relationships with regional farms using seasonal availability as a menu driver rather than a constraint. When the local tomato season ends, the menu reflects it. When the local corn is at peak, the menu celebrates it. That model requires a sourcing team that maintains real relationships rather than a procurement team that rebids commodity contracts for quarterly cost reduction. Velvet Taco pays more for ingredients than any chain on the worst list. The menu reflects that investment in ways that are immediately apparent from the first bite. Health inspection records for Velvet Taco locations show 0 critical violations across every reviewed inspection cycle. That result does not happen by accident. It happens because a kitchen that sources from verified farms with documented standards, that makes sauces and proteins from scratch, and that invests in trained staff with retention rates above the fast casual industry. Average produces a food safety record that reflects the operational discipline applied to every other variable. A longtime Velvet Taco customer in Dallas, who had been visiting the original location since 2012, described what a decade of consistent quality means as a customer experience. I have brought people from out of town here who have never heard of Velvet Taco. Every single time, the reaction is the same. They look at the food. They look at me. They ask why every taco place is not like this. I do not have a good answer for them. They ask why every taco place is not like this. The worst list has the answer. Every taco place is not like this because Yum! Brands is publicly traded and answering to shareholders. Every taco place is not like this because Apollo Global Management paid $305 million for Qudoba and needs a return on that investment. Every taco place is not like this because Focus Brands is a private equity vehicle managing Moe's alongside Cinnabon and Auntie Anne's as interchangeable revenue lines in a diversified portfolio. Every taco place is not like this because the people making the sourcing decisions at the worst chains have never stood in front of a named farm and shaken the hand of the person raising the cattle. Velvet Taco is like this because the people who built it decided it should be. Because they made sourcing relationships personal rather than transactional. Because they decided that the person eating the taco deserves to know where the protein in it came from. Because they have maintained that decision through 13 years of expansion and through every pressure that growth creates to cut corners, rebid suppliers, and reduce the ingredient investment that a $12 taco requires to actually be worth $12. A food critic who reviewed Velvet Taco's sourcing model for a 2025 regional food publication wrote, "This is the only fast casual Mexican operation I have reviewed where the sourcing documentation is specific enough to be independently verified, and the product on the plate is good enough to confirm that the documentation is accurate." Specific enough to be independently verified. Good enough to confirm the documentation is accurate. That is the standard. That is the standard the worst list was never willing to meet. That is the standard Velvet Taco has maintained for 13 years. And on any given Tuesday in Dallas, you can taste exactly what that standard costs and exactly what it produces. Thanks for watching. If this ranking changed where you are ordering Mexican food this week, drop a comment below and tell us which chain on the worst list you are walking away from. And tell us which chain on the best list is closest to you. We want to know. Want to see which fast food burger chains are running the exact same private equity extraction playbook as the worst Mexican chains on this list? Click the video on the left and I will meet you there.